looking likely to make their mark in the future. And yet the Speedway star and other voices are doom and gloom as Rye House close and rumours of other clubs close to the edge. So, where can we lay the blame? Well, the BSPA certainly, as they make change after change and stick at none of them. But perhaps it's time to look a bit closer to home. When was the last time you, and indeed I, spoke to someone positively about this sport? Maybe it's time to stop moaning and start helping. Only in Speedway. Well, good evening everybody and welcome to the Speedway Tavern. As you can tell, we're really slick and raring to go today. In the studio we have, as normal, we've got our friend Matt.
Good evening.
We've got our friend Chris and myself, GA or Michael or Hey You or whatever you want to say really. First, I guess, apologies, we haven't been on the air for a while. One of us went on 2 holidays. One of us went to Wolverhampton. And one of us collapsed and I went to hospital for a couple of days. I'm not going to tell you who was who.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, well, we can tell. Just look at the suntan. I mean, come on. Anyway, I suppose the biggest news, guys, is it's hot.
It is.
It is flipping hot.
Yeah.
What was the track like at Wolverhampton last night?
It wasn't too bad actually. They've, I think it's quite well known, and I think Birmingham have had the same problem as well about the new material going on the track and not knitting, not what's the word? Mixing.
I'm not helping you.
No, mixing with what's well, there's no change there, then, is there? But not mixing in properly with what was already there, and it's been problematic for a few weeks now. But last night it was a lot better. Track was a lot better. There's some very good racing and a much needed win. After, I mean, obviously we had the win against Swindon last week, but it was a really poor meeting, to be honest. It was up until the last race there was pretty much nothing to get excited about, and then the week before losing the unbeaten home record against Somerset, who, I mean, it was a poor performance against Somerset. 49-41 defeat, but really the scoreline flattered Wolves, to be honest. But a better performance. I rather suspect one or two of the Wolves riders had maybe been told they needed to pull their fingers out. I was going to ask you about that
because he has been in the press, hasn't he?
Chris Van Straaten has been looking at possibly making changes. What change there'd be, I'm not too sure. Of course, it would have to be. You have to work it out with the averages. So.
Same problem that Birmingham have just been having. I mean, it's sort of gone in the opposite direction. We was doing really well, and we've had a bit of a blip. Yeah. And you've gone from having a bit of a blip to turning things around, you hope.
It is one result, I should point out. Of course, we're in action tomorrow night at Bellevue, so that's going to be a toughie.
Yeah. Hello.
Just get rid of some of the comments that come in earlier. Paul Wood said, "Hiya, Rambo won't forget his debut in a GP in a hurry. He's a great racer, but some of the quotes were frankly ridiculous. How some said he would blow everyone away."
I did read some of those quotes, people saying that, he was going to win the thing, and I think he had a bit of an education. He did well. I mean, there's no getting away.
He certainly didn't disgrace himself. I mean, I'm sure Paul would agree with me that that exclusion that he had at Eton before was absolutely ridiculous.
All four back.
It was an awful. If you were going to blame somebody, it probably would have been more so Ty, because maybe you could have argued Ty moved across him a little bit, but to exclude Robert Lamb for that was just absolutely bizarre. And to be fair, there were quite a few decisions actually that were pretty awful.
Jack Wright wants to know if we'll be discussing dusty tracks tonight. Well, we've sort of gone straight on to that subject, really, haven't we? Yeah, I mean, actually, I'd like to address a few things about the Birmingham track, because I saw some comments this week about, and this is not me talking here, these are other people saying that they felt that the track had got no grip, no dirt on it, and it wasn't very good. This just shows you can't tell. If you're not on the track, you can't tell. You can't tell. I've come into Perry Bar on occasions, thought, the track looks a bit slick tonight, and then I've got on the track and thought, oh, no, it's not. And vice versa, the other way around. You really can't tell until you get on the track. I would say that was the best track we've had all season. There was dirt on it.
It was a very good. It was a very, very good meeting, to be fair.
And it was a good meeting. Yeah. Some good racing. So I totally refute those allegations at the track. I mean, it did start breaking up a little bit, which is again down to the new shale.
It is so with the new shale and with the weather as well. It's so difficult at the moment
Plus our restrictions at Perry Bar, where we can't actually get on the track until quite late in the day.
I mean, in an ideal world, I think with the watering of the track, you'd probably do it at about 10 o'clock in the morning when you'd start watering it. So
you'd get a lot.
So they can sit through to the base.
That was the other thing. Somebody said that it had been overwatered. I again refute that. From what I saw of it, it had been watered exactly right. It's the first time we've got it right this year, I think. I'm not blaming anybody for that other than the weather. But I would say that it was as good as it was going to be. So, there we go.
Richie wants to know who's Rambo.
Robert Lambert,
yeah. It wouldn't come into my head for a second. Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's about the tracks. I mean, I think they're starting to get the hang of how to make this new shell work. Maybe it's time to start looking for a different substance to race on.
Yes.
Yeah, we used to have cinders, and then they moved to shale. Maybe if the shale's not up to scratch now, is there something else out there?
Not tarmac, as long as it's not there.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, they famously had the experiment. I think it was with sand, wasn't it, at Bristol?
Yeah.
Many moons ago. I think they kept it for a season, so that sort of says how useful that was. Perhaps we should talk about the GP then.
We should do, yeah. Very good racing, really enjoyed it.
First thing to say is Ty Woffenden doesn't seem to be winning GPs, but he seems to be increasing his lead every time.
Well, all he's doing at the moment is what he needs to do. Now with 5 rounds to go, a 20-point lead, really it's his to lose now, I think, to be honest. He's even though obviously desperately wanted to win it. It's his home GP, and it's the one GP that's eluded him so far. But he outscored all of the riders really close to him, particularly, of course, Freddie Lindgren was very disappointing on Monday. And I think the camera focused on him after his last hit, and I think he made his feelings pretty well known to to anybody who could lip read what he thought of his night's work. So, yeah, but I mean, the track. There was some very good racing. It was a little bit of an advantage to be on the inside. I think the race. I think it was Ty's second race where he forgot to switch his fuel on, and he did manage to get the bike going and get around for a point. If he'd have been able to win that race, he'd have had first pick in the final, and I think he probably would have beaten Bartas from inside. Although having said that, I thought Bartas Miles was the best rider on the night. I don't think he did deserve to win.
Definitely
it,
future world champion. You've got
getting better.
Well, we said that about Emil Saifutinov many moons ago, and
I hadn't realised Emil Saifutinov hasn't won a GP now for 5 years, and that was Cardiff 2013.
Yeah,
I know he hasn't been in it for a few years, but he's sort of enigmatic. He's either very, very good, but he just seems to go off and
he's not as exciting as he was.
I mean, he was a real sensation when he first came onto the scene, wasn't he?
Really was.
But slightly below par, I think, on Saturday, only scoring 8 points.
Wow.
So it's but Woofington 81, Lindgren 61, Magic Janowski 59, Saifutinov 56, Smarslick 55, Hancock 53, Lagusa 47. So it's I think at the moment, as I say, Ty's the one who's sort of maybe got one hand on the trophy, but
yeah. Well, I don't think. Well, injuries and so on. You can't. This sport, you can never say that until the fat lady's son, can you? I mean,
I know Hans Nielsen had a big lead in I think it was 96 with 3 rounds to go, and still didn't manage to get over the line. But I think as well. We also should say best wishes to Jason Doyle. A really nasty crash in his last one. It's not been his season so far, and
while we're on that subject, Luke Bowen as well.
Yeah,
had a nasty accident yesterday.
That's right.
In what was, by some people would say, a nothing meeting.
Easter Cup, wasn't it?
The Easter Cup
in July.
Yes. I have my own views on that, which I think for Birmingham it was a useful meeting to get Dan Greenwood up and running, but as much as anything. But only in Speedway, as we say.
Absolutely,
in Speedway. So, is the race now on for silver medal, do you think? You think that's where the excitement really, truly lies in the GPs now?
Yeah, silver and bronze. 7 points separating Lindgren, who's in second, from Greg Hancock, who's in sixth, and Even riders like Artem Leguta and Patrick Dudek are not out of the equation yet if they can bolt on a couple of big results. I think the big shock on Saturday was Craig Cook. He rode really well with 3 heat wins.
Yeah.
I think as people know, I'm not Craig Cook's biggest fan, but I think he deserved a lot of credit for what he did on Saturday, and that'll give him a big boost going into the next round, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's more of a Craig Cook type track. You don't. It's not one of these big open, wide open Polish tracks where he seems to be suffering with power as much as anything. But I mean, at least it's, the skill's still there, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was good to see. Good to see. And yeah,
there's a couple of people at the Team GP test match as well. So Richard says, not too hot here. Going back to how hot it is here. Track should be perfect. And Paul Wood says the track at Glasgow, first turn ball on the inside after heat 6 in the under 21. 14
and they've spent a lot of money on that track, haven't they?
They have, yeah, and the facilities there. So we're also, the sport's been suffering with that this year quite a lot. Well, things are bad when you got Chris Van Straten going public and saying he's praying for rain. So
yeah.
So
I
don't think he's going to be doing a Gene Kelly routine if it starts raining.
That might bring the crowds in.
And Jack says race for 8th could be pretty exciting. So many good riders.
That's true.
Not on form at the moment.
That's absolutely true. We ought to do a little look at that and make some predictions. For
we'll have a look at that at some stage. I'll run the next week or so.
And get it totally wrong as per normal.
Yeah, of course.
We just like to make idiots of ourselves, man.
You're pretty good at it,
I've had a lot of practice.
You'll get no argument from me at all. Well, you're pretty good.
I'm surprised you can talk. Anyway, so that's the GP. So let's have a look at what's been going on at Birmingham. We've not had a great time of it since last we spoke, because obviously Daniel Hume getting injured at Cradley.
That shoulder's really becoming troublesome for him now, isn't it? So
it's always that same. I don't know what to say. I mean, the guy's a great rider. How do you replace somebody like that? Well, you don't do rider replacement.
That's the problem, isn't it?
That's the problem. I mean, if there is a right rider, he was the wrong rider to get injured. Somebody, your second or third in the averages is usually, you can cover.
Yeah, especially when you're carrying, a couple of riders as well.
That's right. They've made the signing of Dan Greenwood.
Yep.
I think the reaction has been a little bit underwhelming. But I think it's probably was as good as we're going to get, really. With the averages that we're working with, and we had to make a change. Because when the new averages come in on the 1st of August...
He's an experienced rider, isn't he? He's kind of lost his way a little bit in the last couple of years.
There's experience there, which will be, is good for the youngsters in the team. And do you know what? I mean, I the first season I saw him, I think he was riding for Cradley. I think he was a bit of a thorn in our side that year. So there's certainly talent there. So, let's just give the guy a chance, and we'll turn up tomorrow against Plymouth. And not a bad race for him to start with, because not the strongest team in the world. So, he got 3 second places at Kent, and by all accounts was challenging for the lead in most of those races. So, I don't think it's a bad signing. I do think
he's putting himself in the shop window, really, isn't he?
He is,
to try and make a difficult choice for Lawrence Rogers once Rogers get fit again. So.
That's right. I mean, we have on the wings Daniel Hume, hopefully. We have on the wings JPB, hopefully.
Yep.
So, I get the feeling that this team that we're watching now is not necessarily going to be the team we'll be watching come the end of the season in the playoffs, and we will make the playoffs. That's going to happen.
I'm fairly certain Birmingham will be in the top 4.
So we need to sort of think about doing a pool, I guess, and make sure that when we get to the playoffs, we're at the top of our game.
I thought you meant sign Greg Hancock, as I say. I think he might be a bit...
Yeah, don't do that to me. I don't want to go back to that horrible, horrible feeling. you make the rules work for you, don't you? You make the rules work for you. So we got any more? Was that something else on the shout box that I just saw there?
Right, okay. So, okay. Lawrence Rogers says Dan had four second places at Kent.
Was on the pace. That's not bad going considering how he hasn't rid all season, has he? So he's going to do a bit of catching up. GP challenge: who's going to get through on the Gators Paradise track? I don't know what the lineup is for that, but is Craig Cook there? You say Gators Paradise track. I presume Robert Lambert's on the GP.
I believe
challenge.
he is, yes.
So that'd be interesting to see if he gets through. And I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him at all.
I don't think he'll take too much. He won't lose hard, I don't think, over the performance on Saturday. Because he was on the races, he did manage to finish. He was on the pace. Maybe a little bit more experience. He, would have been able to.
Well, he's against the top riders in the world, aren't you? It's not going to be easy. That's the whole point.
I've actually got the lineup for the Grand Prix Challenge here. If you,
we'll have a look at it in a minute. I'd like to have a.
It's not completed yet, but there's going to be.
I'd like to have a chat about last Wednesday's match, which was by far the best meeting of the year.
Yeah.
I know we lost by 2 points, but it was quite exciting going into that last race, knowing if we got a 5-1, and knowing we got riders that could easily get a 5-1. On the right day with the wind going in the right direction. I thought it was quite ironic. I was having a silent little chuckle to myself all through the meeting because there were a few Cradley fans at the meeting, obviously supporting Danny Ayres and his name escapes me, the ex-Wonder 15-year-old riding for Mildenhall. I can't remember his name.
No.
Drew
Kemp.
Drew Kemp, that was it.
I'll tell you what a prospect he looks.
Doesn't he? He's another Dan Bewley, isn't he?
Yeah.
Another Leon Flint, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Leon looked a bit down on power, I thought. So I think it's been mentioned that he was having bike troubles. But anyway, what was ironic about it was that the Cradley supporters were busy cheering these two Mildenhall riders because they obviously ride for them in the trophy. And Mildenhall, traditionally and quite knowingly, hate Cradley. So, that was quite ironic. What was even more ironic was that those Cradley supporters, when they got home that night, found out the riders they'd been cheering out as Cradley riders were no longer Cradley riders. So, is that brilliant? I think that's fantastic. Only in Speedway. That was. I can just see. Well,
we need the laughing policeman, don't we, at this point? So.
I haven't got it. I've got.
Fantastic. But on that, there you go. On that subject, it's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's wrong.
What
other team can look at their team and say, okay, those two riders can't ride for us in this important match, which is the two Mildenhall riders, because they'll be riding for Mildenhall. So we'll just sign two other riders. Nobody else can do that. Why are they not made to do what the rest of us have to do, which is have guests? I don't think it's right. It's not.
It is really a fantasy team that Cradley got, isn't it? To be honest,
well, it's several fantasy football teams, isn't it?
So
it's a fantasy league, isn't it? At the moment?
Yeah. Anyway, and it's not freeing up riders in the rider market either.
No, that's right.
Which is another thing, but
that's something else I think we'll get on to, of course, because we ought to obviously talk about Ryo's sad demise as well. So
yeah, I mean, we did have a little mention about it last time, but I think there's a few more sort of things come to light since, which is that the owners, is it BSI?
BSR.
There was got the BS right.
Yeah.
They sort of disagree slightly with what the statement that the BSPA have put out and said that that they weren't given the chance, that they basically made assurances that bills and so on were going to be paid and outlined how that was going to happen, but the BSPA sort of, I mean, we're only listening to that. This is just one side of the story, of course, but they basically didn't listen. I don't know. I hope that's wrong. I hope they're standing, because
what worries me as well is rumours of one or two other tracks that might not complete the season either. So
it seems...
Both Lawrence and Jack have come back with BMR.
BMR Racing.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so as ever with this sport, and it's probably the same in other sports in this sort of issue, we never find out really, we never get to the bottom.
Well, things happen and they don't get explained, do they? We've said this before, so...
I really do think it's time for the BSPA. So I don't want to come all critical to the BSPA, because at the end of the day, they're just blokes trying to run their business.
Yeah.
But that's the problem.
Exactly.
That's exactly the problem. They're just blokes trying to run their own business. There is nobody with an overall... There is supposed to be a BSPA chairman, but who's the BSPA chairman? Not mentioning names. It's a bloke that's running his own business.
That's right.
You know, it needs to be somebody above all of that. There needs to be prima. There needs to, somebody appointed or something.
Unless there's an interjection of money, there's never going to be.
The FA,
they're
not owners of clubs and so on, are they?
No, there's going to be. I mean, an interjection of money to pay somebody to just look at.
Like we've had with the national team, that's obviously showing good signs of.
Yeah, well, that's positive, and hopefully they will, see that and think, well, maybe I can understand them being. You're running your own business, and you're saying, right, I'm running this business. You've got the reins. It's like the turkeys voting for Christmas a little bit, isn't it? So I can understand why they're scared of doing that, but surely we are getting to the point where we've got to do something. Got to change something.
It's critical now, really, isn't it?
Well, it's the old Confucius thing, which is the sign of madness is doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So something's got to be done. One thing seems to be sure, at the moment anyway, is that this change of nights and the way that they've done it isn't helping anybody.
It's picking the wrong nights, I think, that was the problem. So,
But the danger is, and you can almost guarantee this is what will happen, at the end of the season, they'll have their meeting and they'll just vote that out. And which is what they do with every idea that they have had, good or bad. Some have had some ideas and we've thought, that's a good idea. And at the end of the next season, they voted it out.
Yeah.
And that's where a Supremo comes in. That's where somebody running the sport overall can give a strategy for the good of the sport.
Really, you could argue, really, that, say, for example, at this year's AGM, that they're actually putting the regulations in place for 2020, not 2019, and they trial them in 2019 in challenge matches and things like that, just to get a feel for whether they'll work or not.
Probably couldn't do that with the change of the race.
Not the race night. I mean regulations and
I just hope that they don't just get rid of the race nights and go back to what it was before. That they look at it and say, right, it didn't work, and it didn't work because of this, and tweak it and get it right, because that's the only way you're going to get it right. Stop doing things for a season and then not doing them. It doesn't. It's just.
Susan Jordan has come back with where is 52-year-old Tony Aitken going now? Don't end his career.
Of course, Tony's left Stoke.
He's left Stoke, and having a pretty good season as well.
He was having a good season. He ran pretty well a few weeks ago at Perry Pearl, didn't he? So.
There's obviously some personal stuff going on there. So I don't think it's right for us to make any sort of conjecture other than hope you come back somehow somewhere soon, Tony, because he's fun. He's fun to watch.
He's a character as well. He's a real character, Tony is.
Jack says that the problem is we never ever hear BSPA's side of any story. Sorry if they think they're in the right. Why not tell why they think so?
Well, we've said this time and time again. It's and the problem that what I don't understand, and the problem that they have, is that the minute you create a vacuum, so it'd be a vacuum of information, which is what we're talking about here, then something happens to fill it, which is people having conjecture all the time. They never answer anybody's emails when they have a question, and I should have a press officer or something that does that. So I think
Paul's hit it on the head. It probably sounds harsher than what it is, but he says we need a new dictator, like Mike Parker was.
Well, that's
I know the late great Ivan Major made a point of saying when he did that big interview with Tony McDonald a few years ago that Speedway needs It might not have been everyone's cup of tea, but Speedway needs somebody like a Mike Parker now.
Mm.
I know quite a few people have actually suggested Jonathan Chapman as a potential supreme over the sports.
That's only going to work if he is no longer in charge at Kings Lynn.
No, his son.
Oh, his son, right.
Yeah,
okay.
Jonathan Chapman. He's not, because as far as I'm aware, Jonathan Chapman and his dad don't speak to each other because they had a big falling out. I don't know whether that's
right, yeah.
true or not, but
well, it does. It needs somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say Tony Mole, but I think
Tony Mole's probably a bit, no disrespect to Tony, but I think he's probably the wrong age for doing something, taking on a bigger challenge as that now. So.
Yeah, and also we want somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, that's let's be honest. I've got nothing but good things to say about Tony Mole. A number of clubs that he's saved. Our club, and your club as well.
Yeah.
But his way of doing things was rooted in the past, and then you get people like David Mason turning up, and all of a sudden there's a breath of fresh air across Birmingham. Just the way things are done.
I think one thing that I've always had a problem with is when new promoters come in, they're not allowed to have a vote at the AGM for 3 years. I don't quite understand that, to be honest.
No, well, they haven't got any control over their business. It must be very frustrating.
It always seems like closing ranks, doesn't it? So I know the previous Birmingham promoter, when he was there, described the BSPA as a gentleman's club, didn't he? So.
I think Anthony's hit it on the head. He says the whole mentality needs changing. Young, fresh ideas, jobs for the boys mentally needs getting rid of.
Well,
we've said this a few times.
I mean, the thing is, right, and the problem is that it's fairly obvious to us. It must be fairly obvious to the BSPA. They're not stupid people. They must know that there is this is something that needs to be done.
Right.
Well, when you've got Phil Rising saying this is the biggest crisis he's known in the sport in 50 years, you know there's something wrong. So.
Yeah, well, when we mentioned earlier, it's very. I'm going to use that word again. It's very ironic, isn't it? Because as I mentioned, all these good things happening in British Speedway at the moment. We've got some great crop of youngsters coming up, a great crop of youngsters coming in underneath them.
Yeah.
The strength in depth that looking better and better and better, but people are struggling to put bums on seats.
And just on that, how was the GP attended?
It looked slightly down.
Yeah.
To me, to be honest.
Still a lot there.
Still a lot there. I think I think most of the I think all the promoters in the country will snap your right hand off for a crowd like that at their track every week. So
I don't think they fit them in actually.
Half full.
Well, the top tier was sort of. I mean, I was in the top tier. The very top seats, there's never anybody in those seats, and of course, most of the bottom tier, of course, is closed off because of being too close to the track. So
But before we go any further, we should mention our little raffle.
Yep. It won't be on tonight because I haven't done the raffle for the last one. So but it's on tonight. If anybody wants to share, and you'll win a prize next week.
Yep, so if you just share on the Facebook stream, it gets put into a pot next week, and we'll pick a winner out and you get a T-shirt.
Yeah, a limited edition T-shirts.
Limited edition, yeah. How many is there out there now? 3?
4.
4. Okay, yeah. There you go. Yeah, so I don't want to finish this program or carry on with all doom and gloom. So let's look at some of the positives that things are going on around at the moment, which is, as I say, a good crop of youngsters coming up, and as you mentioned earlier, the setup for the Great Britain team and what's going on there. And maybe that's something that the BSBA have ceded control over to them. Maybe that's something that will help them make that decision to, appoint somebody, and somebody that not just somebody that's just going to sit on top and say, "You go, there's the rules, run the season." We want somebody that's
got vision, really.
Yeah, that's able to put a strategy and enforce that strategy. Yeah. That's what you need, and it will rub. Whatever somebody does, it will rub somebody up the wrong way. That in a nub has been the problem with the sport and why it can't move forward, because it doesn't. Whatever you put there is not going to suit everybody. So.
You read that?
Yeah, not having the facility, Lawrence, only spoils a meeting and can often end up tactical, both
Farcical.
Farcical, sorry, I haven't got my glasses on. Both for or against us, as most of us enjoy a competitive meeting. I don't know what that's referring to, so I need a bit more background on that one.
I'm not sure.
I want to talk about something positive at Birmingham.
Go on then.
Sheldon Davis. Thought he looked
Looked on the post, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got quite a nice little style about him as well, hasn't he? And he can only get better. Hopefully that's the aim. Might have found a little gem there, but I did, just to throw a spanner in the works. Do we want him to get an average?
How many meetings has he got to do to get an average?
It's 4 home and 4 away, I believe. Well, do we want it? Because he's.
I suppose it would be beneficial if he didn't.
For next year, yeah.
Yeah. If Birmingham were running in the National League next year, of course.
I'm guessing from things that people, and I haven't got. This is not people in the know, by the way. So, but I'm guessing that we probably will stop in the National League next year. But I don't know. That's not official. Please don't shoot the messenger, and etc. etc.
Please don't what? Shoot the messenger. Let's see if I can find a gun.
Dan Bewley's third place.
Oh yeah.
Disappeared. Jack Rice thinks he's talking about RR.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I know it's like this in the Championship. I don't know whether it is in the Premiership. If a rider's injured, you can immediately use RR. That's how the way it's set up. Why we can't do that in National League? I'm guessing this is what we're talking about. I don't know. Why that killed the meeting against Cradley. Killed it as a Dan, if we'd been able to cover some of his rides with RR, maybe it would have kept the meeting alive for a bit longer. I don't know, but it certainly killed the meeting. I had to resort to just having a go at Cradley fans about their fantasy team, but and hoping Tom Bacon got a maximum.
Some good news.
Some good news, yeah.
Stephen Zetterwall says that Bradford Halifax will have a new team and ground for 2019.
Yeah, I've been reading about that.
Was that been confirmed, or?
I don't think it has been confirmed, but it's looking quite promising, isn't it? That'd be great to see.
I presume it wouldn't be at Odsal, so.
I don't think so. I think but I do believe they have.
Too expensive to run at Odsal, I think so.
Yeah. Well, that'd be good.
And Susan says, a good luck to Dan Greenwood and Jamie Seeley Wednesday at
Lawrence Rogers agrees it's in 2 leagues. Why not National League? Well, that's a good question, but it sort of begs another question, because I don't. Is that something that? Because so one of the frustrating things about being in the National League is lots of things being. Sort of lauded down from the top 2 leagues. For instance, saying, you're not having assets anymore. We didn't get, as a National League, we didn't seem to get a vote in that. Although I've got another question about that assets situation. If Lawrence is there and can answer it. So, as far as this business of not being able to have RR in that situation, is that down to us, or is that down to the 2 leagues above for saying that we can't do that? So I'll be interested to know the answer to that. If it's down to us, we're stupid.
Yeah. The one thing I keep hearing about the top 2 leagues is this notion of merging them for next season. Not enough riders to do it, I don't think.
No.
Nowhere near enough.
No, there isn't. Well, you'd have to.
It wouldn't work. It didn't work last time.
No.
That they tried the one big league.
No,
I don't think it would work this time either.
Yeah, I mean, Simon Corbett's saying 1 league, North and South, please. But
maybe North and South divide could work.
It's still got the problem with the riders, though.
You still got the problem with the riders. It would reduce the amount of travelling, though, I think riders would have to do, of course. But if it was more regionalised, but
Lawrence Rogers says it will be brought up at the AGM about the rider replacement. So that'll be, yeah. So I've got a question actually, Lawrence. I've been reading something on the BSF. Now, I usually take what is said on the BSF with a very, very vast pinch of salt, a crater of salt even, you know.
Yeah.
What it's been suggested on the forum by somebody who should know, I'm not going to mention any names because she's not here, so it wouldn't be fair. But it's been suggested that actually National League clubs are now allowed to have assets. Is that true?
Or there's something else they've done with that.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, that's the frustrating thing. Yeah. If it's true, why don't we know about it? So,
what are the fors and against of having assets?
It depends where you're positioned. If you're the fors for not having assets, if you're a Premiership or a Championship club, this is how I see it anyway. This is my view on it. Is that you haven't got to pay the club that you're signing Dan Bewley from, or whoever it might be, a fee.
Oh, I see.
But of course, that's a con for the National League clubs who are trying to make their way. I mean, you look at the likes of Buxton trying to make their way with a very low crowd base.
Yeah,
I got quite a low crowd base as well, actually.
Buxton, yeah.
Sorry, is it my turn to
after a lot of talks and negotiations, yes, the National League can have assets. Hallelujah.
I know, yeah.
Well, that brings another question now.
Andrew will be having a celebratory point tonight when he sees that.
Yeah. But bring me another question now, doesn't it? Does that mean Leon Flint is going to become our asset?
Well, has anybody else had dibs on him? Or?
Well, not as far as I'm aware, so he's riding for us. Unless he's signed, he's got a contract with Berwick, I suppose, which is entirely possible.
Were they a first option on him, or possibly?
I don't know whether that. Well, I don't know how it works, but anyway, there's the question. So, thank you for replying to that, Lawrence. Right, shall we have a look at what's happening at Wolverhampton?
Yes, why not?
Oh, before we do, if there anybody out there from any of your other teams want to highlight matches coming up and get our opinions on what's going to happen, we'll be wrong, but we'll give them you.
Yep.
And let us know what you think. Just shove them up on the shout box and so on. Yep.
Just before we go to Wolverhampton, apparently there's no planning permission yet for the Bradford Halifax ground.
And we are all about that. I'm going to nick your nuts.
Pardon?
Can you leave his nuts alone, please?
Yes, please. We don't want any less of this.
I'll put a beer there for you, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, no worries.
Yeah, that's great. Right, so you've got some matches coming up, I believe.
Do you want some
we
more
have.
nuts, by the way? Okay.
We have, yeah. We've got them.
You have my nuts.
As he disappears, so presumably don't know what to do. But
anyway, back to the Speedway.
What's that? Oh yeah. Yeah, we've got the match tomorrow, the return match against Bellevue tomorrow night up at the NSS. Next Monday we take the trip down to Swindon, and then we've got the home meeting against Leicester coming up on the 6th of August. So a few, three, and then after that we've got the visit down to Somerset. So we've got 3-4 really important matches coming up. Absolutely crucial that we didn't lose last night. Obviously having already lost the one home meeting, and we don't look like we're going to get anything on the road. You don't really want to be dropping any more points.
So you're not expecting to get anything at Bellevue?
Well, I'm expecting to get something at Bellevue, a bit of a hiding, to be honest. But you never know. But I don't see anything other than a big defeat. And presumably, I would say the same down at Swindon next Monday as well.
So you're going to so Swindon's not had such a great time of it recently, have they?
There was a lot of criticism of their meeting on Monday about the conditions of the track. I haven't seen any. Haven't seen any of the meetings there, but any of that meeting on Monday. I would say, looking at the table at the moment, Kings Lynn they seem to be putting together a bit of a charge at the moment. They're on 19 points, starting in 5th place, just a point behind Bellevue. So
okay, we've just got a couple of things that I need to do off the share box. So Lawrence Rogers has said that Leon can't sign for anybody until he's 16.
Yep.
If you can move that up a little bit for me, please. There was somebody saying that he's actually a Berwick rider, which is Paul Wood. But obviously, he can't be a Berwick rider because he can't sign for anybody until he's 16. And Lawrence Rogers has said, and that's disappeared. Oh, his granddad has just posted he is a free agent. So there you go.
I was wondering last week whether Andy Graham's lining himself up for a comeback, because he obviously had a...
He might do all right at reserve, mightn't he? He didn't look too bad, did he? It's all bite packed up on his old Wezzy.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, Kings Lynn on a bit of a charge. Of course, they won at Leicester last week, and they're getting some good results. On paper, they look a decent team, Kings Lynn. They didn't have a very good start to the season.
Yeah, I think we sort of said that could be outsiders, didn't we?
So looking at the table at the moment, Somerset top on 28 points, Swindon 26, Wolves 25, Bellevue 20, Kings Lynn 19, Poole 18, Leicester 17. So all 7 clubs really with a chance of getting into the...
But Leicester at the bottom still.
Leicester at the bottom still.
They can't get off that. I mean, we looked at their team at the beginning of the year and said, it's not a bad team, that, is it?
Well, of course, losing Marcin Vashlik and the fact that they obviously changed 4 riders last week, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
But, I mean, Leicester's 7th place in the bottom of the table. That just shows the problem that you got in the Premiership now. It's not really... When you've only got 6 other teams you can race against, it's not really a... That's really the big problem.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's just no variety.
So that's another thing that needs to be looked at and sorted out.
It needs to be made more attractive for clubs to maybe want to go into the Premiership.
And Martin Guest has said under 16s are not allowed to be an asset, so Leon Flint cannot be an asset of any club, which I think is probably fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some people hunting for his signature next year.
I know, yeah. The final will be ringing on his 16th birthday, won't it?
Yeah, I bet. As of course, the same will go perhaps even more for Drew. What's his second?
Kemp.
Drew Kemp. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
But there'll be a few clubs after him, I think, because that's the first time I've seen him, and he looked a really good prospect, didn't he? So.
Yeah, well, I saw him at the Cradley match, and he didn't look quite as, but yeah, he's very good, isn't he?
Yep.
Right, and Birmingham, what have we got? Well, obviously... Oh, shall we wait for this helicopter to disappear?
Yeah, the kids are off school.
We've obviously got a match against Plymouth tomorrow. I haven't got the teams, actually, if somebody can get them up for me. That would be great.
It's tied to the top of the National League table as well, isn't it?
Isn't it? Let's go through that.
Yeah, but Bellevue top 21, Mildenhall 19, Birmingham 17, Kent 16... Coventry 14, Plymouth 13, Eastbourne 10, Isle of Wight 10. Then there's a bit of a gap. Stoke on 3 in Buxton with no points from there. 4 matches. Got to say at the moment, if I was a betting man, I'd probably say Milton will look the team that I think will be the
finish top.
Yeah, finish top. Yeah.
I mean, Bellevue, they've done quite a few more matches, haven't they?
Well, they've done 6 more matches than Burnley. So
you've got to say we're probably, all things being equal, going to get second place. Here's an interesting thing.
Should say as well, that was a terrific win for Birmingham up at Bellevue, wasn't it? So a couple of weeks ago. So
it was, yeah. I think a surprising win.
I think the Bellevue were a bit surprised, judging by some of the comments that were allegedly being made.
Interesting thought. I mean, let's start looking. Talk about fantasy land now. Let's start looking at the end of season. You're looking possibly Mildenhall, Bellevue, Birmingham, and who do you think 4th place? Who do you reckon? Who's there now?
Kent are there at the moment on 16.
Kent's probably not a bad call, actually.
Kent, Coventry. I mean, Plymouth. I mean, you say it should be a comfortable home win for the Brummies tomorrow, but Plymouth, they're not out of the mix as well. They're not near 13. Eastbourne, you can't rule out.
If you're Mildenhall, we haven't forgot about Eastbourne. Eastbourne's probably going to sneak up.
Yeah.
So let's put Eastbourne in the mix.
Yep.
If you're Mildenhall,
well, if
you get pick.
Well, if you're not going to. If you're going to put Eastbourne in the mix, you've got to put
Eastbourne.
Isle of Wight in the mix as well because they're on 10. So
you're probably not going to pick Kent.
Yep.
Probably not going to pick Bellevue, are you?
Yep.
You're going to pick Birmingham.
It's the lesser of the. It could be the lesser of the evil, couldn't it?
I just had a 2-point win at Birmingham as well. So
I think Mildenhall would probably fancy the chances against Birmingham, to be honest. So having already been to Perry Bar and won, so.
Right, there was somebody saying that Drew's going to go to Ipswich when he turns 16.
Right.
Don't know whether that's true or not.
Do you want me to read that one?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, the Andy Hague one first.
Please.
Many great young juniors in National League this year, along with Leon, Drew, Jason, Carl, etc. Taylor Hampshire, Joe Lawler and Ryan Kingsley have really stepped up this year as well. So a great crop of youngsters coming through, said Andy.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been saying it all season, haven't we? I mean, and all those... I mean, it's strange to be mentioning Taylor Hampshire in that, but he has, come on leaps and bounds this year.
And Drew is listening, by the way, as well. So,
okay. No, don't scare me.
just in case you say anything disrespectful.
Let's see if I would. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great crop of riders.
Yeah, it's looking really refreshing, isn't it? So,
definitely.
if only we could get the product right in the league. So,
well, that's right. I mean, I suppose the other thing is that from National League point of view, we're running out of riders. Hence, the problems we've had. I mean, you got to say David Mason's pulled off 2 fantastic signings, replacing Mitchell Davey with JPB and then with James Shanes.
Well, to be fair, the JPB one was probably a bit of a no-brainer, wasn't it? To be honest, so.
But all of a sudden they're not there. I think Birmingham have used all the riders up. Is the answer. So yeah, I do think we need to start looking now at what we can do in the reserve berth. I don't know what we can do though. If
it's
the riders
difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, if the riders aren't there. The riders aren't there. But hey ho. Yeah, are Swindon ever going to have their supposed new track? That's a good question, actually.
Well, we hope so, but...
Didn't they have a farewell meeting a few years ago and charged a lot for the tickets?
Yeah, they did.
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. It seems to have sort of got pushed under the carpet a little bit, but the last time I visited Swindon, I wasn't impressed with the track was nice. Good racing track. I can't fault it as a racing track, but the facilities around the track were
basic, aren't they? I know the horror stories of the toilets on the back straight. So
God, the horror. Yeah,
I haven't been there 9 years now. The Playful was the last time I went there. So.
Right. It does need to be sorted out. I don't know is the answer. We would hope so. I mean, a lot of people said the same thing about the Bellevue track, didn't they?
And they got there in the end.
Yeah. So yeah.
And just going back to the new riders coming through, Jack says the best crop of youngsters for more than 15 years, to be honest.
It's certainly the best crop of riders I've seen, new riders coming through that I've seen. Of course, not all of them will make it. Not all of them will get
we all
there,
know that.
Because it's stuff happens along the way.
Yeah.
So Drew's already signed and announced by Ipswich Witches, but he's still 15, isn't he? My understanding is.
Has he signed a pre-contract or? Whether are they allowed to
do
that?
I can't see how you. I mean, I've got if they.
I think in football you can sign them when they're like 5, can't you?
Yeah.
So
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But maybe Lawrence can answer that one, or somebody in the know out there. I don't know. Or if Drew's watching, maybe he can. He can let us know. Well, the next Grand Prix is at
Melilla in Sweden.
Melilla.
Really
in Melilla.
Yep. Good track. I enjoy watching the racing.
When's that?
I think it's in a couple of weeks. I'll just check.
The only reason I'm saying is I'm going to be in Sweden in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go and watch that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's definitely be worth. It's sort of out in the middle of nowhere a little bit. It's on the 11th of August.
Doesn't help me.
Well, never mind. The Scandinavian GP. So
you're going to have another.
Lawrence Roddish says there are more to come next year. There's the Thompson twins. He's disappeared.
Nathan Ablett, Jordan Palin, Harry McGurk, Dan Gykes,
Dan Gilks, of course,
etc.
He's certainly one that people have got. I can see a lot of promoters saying, "No, come to us, Dan. No, come to us, Dan." And I think there's going to be a lot of that happening over the close season.
And it is 11th of August.
Yep. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating, isn't it? There's all this great crop of youngsters. And they seem to be getting chances up in the higher leagues now as well.
No, you just need to try and get the product
right.
Yeah.
And it is, you know, and part of that surely is talking to the fans. You know, we're doing this because, you know, and you know what? If we've got reasons for things, we might not necessarily agree with the reasons, but you know, there's a reason you tend to accept it. Okay, fair enough. That's the way, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it gives you less to conjecture about as well, and because I do think as Speedway fans, we're a doughty lot. You know, we do like to run the sport down. Part of that is because we're given the opportunity to, you know, but I don't think we're alone in that. I think, I mean, you'll probably say the same about the football forums and so on. So it's just that perhaps we, you know, when you
got to try and make these meet places, you know, places that people want to go to. I mean, this notion of just throwing the doors open and hoping people come in ain't going to work now. You've got to get out there and actually grab people's attention.
Let me ask you a question. As a Wolverhampton supporter, you come and watch Birmingham quite a lot.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of what we've been doing this year?
I've been very impressed with it. I think the good thing with it, the Masons and Lawrence are doing is that they're working hard to try and bring in a new generation of supporters. Because, of course, Birmingham missed out on 20 years of Speedway, so the whole generation of people...
Two generations,
lost to the sport. I know that Tony Mole and the juries did some very good things for Birmingham. That's probably one thing they weren't quite able to do, is to try and get those younger people in. The Masons have worked hard to do that, and it's getting kids, it's getting people involved as well, because you know as well as I do, kids don't have long attention spans. You can't just expect 5-6-year-old kids to stand there and watch 50 metre Speedway, because they're going to get bored. That's just the way things are.
I would like to see some sort of app. At the Speedway grounds, that sort of interaction app where, you know, they don't have to fill in the programs if they don't want to. It's on the app. It happens automatically. Pictures of the riders as well come up as, you know, this rider's in this race, and you know, so you see who's riding, and you know. I mean,
could the BSPA do
be available on?
Could the BSPA create a YouTube channel? Show exclusive content. You know,
I think I'm right.
They've got a Facebook page.
No, they have. Well, they're not. I'm sure they have got a YouTube. I'm sure that because the ones that they go on the BSPA main site are hosted on YouTube.
Yeah. But, so pretty exclusive content like interviews with riders and.
Well, they have done a bit more of that this year.
In depth, you know.
Yeah, that has happened a little bit. So maybe
in depth. Yeah. Watching the track stuff, get the track ready for a meeting.
That's a really good one. Yeah, that would be stuff like that would be really good. Yeah.
Jack Wright says, "Here's a potential minefield. Do we just forget about GP standard riders and employ those that we can afford?"
It wouldn't bother me if we did. I don't. What are your thoughts on it?
I've got mixed thoughts on it. I think British Speedway does really need to live within its means, but. As watering down the product every year,
it's a chicken or egg, isn't it?
Boosted the crowds. It hasn't. It's the bottom line.
Yeah. I remember when Coventry signed Emil Saifutinov,
and the buzz that created.
And they came to our track first, didn't they?
Fantastic crowd. It was one of the best. It's probably the best crowd I've seen at Perrybar.
So
because people wanted to see him ride. I think Ben Barker was the only one that beat him. I think, wasn't he?
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
Stephen says 2019 GP, I think it means. GB. Have 2 GP rounds, Manchester in July and Cardiff in September.
I'm surprised by the Cardiff date for next year, September the 21st.
Why is it in September?
I don't know. Presumably it's because the stadium's not available in July. I know there's a Rugby World Cup next year, but it's in Japan, so it's not going to be... You can't get Japan and Wales mixed up, I don't think. But, that's just. I mean,
they have got a YouTube channel, by the way.
Yeah.
Lawrence says my 3-year-old granddaughter sits on a bike, goggles on, gloves, and a Brummie race jacket, and watches every race.
Yeah, they should. Maybe they should be giving some Brummy race jackets out to some of these kids that go on.
Well, you give the tear-offs out, don't you? So,
I do as much. Yeah, no, it does. It's only a simple thing.
Yeah.
And I must think, I've got another one. Yeah, but it does bring a smile on the faces.
Lawrence reckons that the Bellevue is probably not big enough for a GP.
No, I don't think it is, to be honest. If you could get the Bellevue track inside Cardiff, it would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's just confined to space. The ideal thing for Cardiff would be if you could have 7 or 8 meetings on there beforehand, and unfortunately it's...
I mean, I've never been to Bellevue. Would there be scope for temporary stands and things?
Well,
like
they did
that?
have it for the World Cup, didn't they? They had the temporary stands on the back straight, and of course you've got the terracing on the back straight.
Would that make it a big enough venue?
Not so sure it would, to be honest.
Maybe we need a new national stadium.
We need to get to Wembley, don't we? That'd be the one we need to get.
Good luck with that. You got deep
They're
pockets.
talking about selling it.
Have you got deep pockets? Or?
No. They're talking about.
I heard quite a few people complaining that Cardiff's too expensive. Well, if you think Cardiff's expensive, you actually get to Wembley.
Susan Jordan says, "Get down to Brum tomorrow. School holidays, loads going on with the kids under 11s. Free. I can't argue with a single thing about that.
No.
Yeah, and we'll probably win. Do you like the probably?
Probably, yeah. Not getting carried away.
Hull
Stavic got it, so Manchester should be very good. But traditionally, when there's GPs in this country, there's a lot of people want to come and watch.
That's right, yeah.
This is something that we mentioned quite a few years ago, wasn't it? Neil says at Swindon we have Lee Kilby going into schools now. It gives a lesson in Speedway, incorporating things like maths for the programming school chart.
It's simple things like that, isn't it?
It is it's a great thing.
That's what we need.
And I know he's talking about doing that in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Can't at the moment because the schools are closed, but it needs to be done.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a secret sport. People don't know about it. It is a secret sport.
It is, definitely.
Facebook, we supply behind the scenes shows. He's disappeared again.
Oh, hang on.
You can tell he's been gone for a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, he's out of practice, isn't he?
No, I've lost him.
Lee's trying to get into schools but had no luck so far. I'll have a chat with you about that tomorrow, Lawrence.
Yeah. Each child thing is a personal invite to come and watch with 2 adults priced at £10 each instead of 17. There we go. SGB have massively increased its online content this year, both on YouTube and Facebook. We supply behind the scenes for Somerset, Poole, Isle of Wight, Newcastle, etc. And I know many other clubs are working on increasing their video content as well. So it's on the up for sure, says Andy.
I think a lot of this is starting to come about now because you haven't got Sky with that really tight contract that they wouldn't let anything happen. And are we going?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Well, that show went quickly. Okay, well, good luck to Wolverhampton. I said that through gritted teeth, you might know. Good luck to...
I think you've been well needed, sir.
And good luck to Birmingham. I don't think we'll need it tomorrow. And please, no more injuries.
Good night.
Okay, good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.